everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for the Shimmerz design team. You can use my code Jessica in the notes section of your order to earn a free gift. So I am prepping my paper with some white gesso by Finnabair. This is just a, I think it's 160-pound cardstock, so it's kind of thicker by Park Lane. And then I just prepped it with my gesso, waited for that to dry, and then I'm just using a brayer to do some really simple and easy mixed media today. So all I'm doing is spraying this right on my glass mat. If you don't have a glass mat, you can use a piece of packaging, anything that's like that shiny surface from a sticker sheet or something like that. You can spray it or apply it right on there. If it's in these pots, you just dump it on there, and then I'm just using that brayer to kind of go through it and then apply right onto my paper. I'm adding just a little bit more using my paintbrush on this pink color because this one's a Shimmerz, so it's more shimmery than anything. It's a little bit less pigmented but more shimmery, so I have to add a little bit more to make the color show up. And then here, the colors that I'm using today, the top one is going to be the good old summertime in the creamies, and then that middle one there, I started with some vibes in Sunset Strip, and then it just wasn't quite dark enough to what I liked, so I put some of the pumpkin pie on there as well to darken it up right here. So that's the darker orange color coming in. And then that bottom one is the color splash in Squeeze the Day, which was part of one of the kits recently. So I have all these colors on there. I'm just adding some splatters using my paintbrush and just flicking the colors on for just a little bit more dimension. And I'm going to do that to all the colors here. And then I'm going to go through and actually grab some of the Inklingz in my favorite gold, which is this Minor 49er. And I'm just adding a little bit more water to activate that back up again because it's been sitting for a little while. So I had to activate it again and make it usable. And then I decided I wanted just a little more dimension in this and just a little breakup of these colors. So I'm just going to water down a little bit of white acrylic paint. It's nothing special or fancy. It's the cheap acrylic white paint, and I just water it down and flicked on some splatters. So while that's dry, I'm just going to set that aside and start working on my photos and my layout. I'm just going to go ahead and map my photos with some smooth white cardstock, and I'm just getting a feel for the layout of my photos and how I want them to go. I know I want to use this little chasing title for my title bit, but I wasn't sure quite where I wanted everything, so I thought it would look really cute just making my photos vertical and then running that title right through the middle of them. But I wanted a little space in there, so I'm going to leave just a little bit of space for where my title is going to go because I didn't want to cover up a whole lot of my photos, and I wanted to kind of make it look like a little film strip, so I wanted to keep it a little bit longer. So I'm just going to do that. I roughed up the edges with my fingernails of that pattern paper that I'm using from the small paper pad from the newer, I think it's called You Are My Sunshine collection by Pretty Little Studio. And then I'm pulling out these border strips, but they're not quite long enough for what I'm looking for. I wanted a scallop border along the edge of my photos. This is one of my favorite things to do. You guys have seen me do this a lot and put scallops around my photos. I just love it lately. It's kind of one of my go-to things on all my layouts lately. And I find that this scallop on this cut apart page, I mean, you don't have to cut apart. You could actually use it as a background paper, but I am going to cut these apart and use them as larger border pieces. So I'm just going to trim this one out to the size that I need. And I'll speed this up here in a second so you don't have to watch me trim down all of that. And then I'm just going to attach that to the side of my photos like that. So I love it. I think it's super cute. It just gives your photos a little extra pop and it kind of finishes off that right side so that your focus is kind of drawn back to that mixed media and the photos themselves. So I have this smaller paper pad. I'm still going to work with this. I'm going to add another layer. So I'm just kind of going through this and seeing what all I have here. This one seems to fit perfectly. This is a scrap I have left over from working on another layout. So I'm just going to rough up the edges of that with my fingernails as well. And I think I'm done layering. I don't want to add too much to it, but I really, really love those scallops and the way that yellow pops against the orange. I just think that's so cute. I've got some photos here today that I'm using of myself and my baby girl from one of our fun beach days while we were camping at our favorite campground. So I am still scrapping summer. I am holding on to summer as long as I possibly can. My kiddos just actually started back to school, and my one started back. My middle child actually just started preschool, so that was hard, but we got through it, and he did amazing, and we didn't have really much trouble with drop off or pickup or anything like that. So he did really great, and I'm excited about that. But I am still holding on to summer as much as physically possible around here, but my favorite season is coming. I love fall. Fall is definitely my favorite season, and I love it. So here, my mixed media has now dried at this point. I actually ended up running my page through my hot laminating machine. I have a mink that I usually use for my 12 by 12 projects, so I just ran it through there to just smooth it out, because it's kind of bent up a little bit and warped in a couple places just from that heavy mixed media. But you can easily just kind of set something heavy on top of it, like a few albums or something, overnight, and it would flatten it out. But I think the laminator works a lot faster and I get better results with it, so I love doing that. So that's come out of the laminator. I am just looking through my hip kit collection here at this point because I needed some flowers to go on this layout. I really wanted some florals just kind of tucked here and there and around my photos. That's another thing that I love to do, is just layer these up and pop some up with 3D foam squares and use Nuvo glue on the other ones. And I just love to create these little floral clusters and layers. So I'm going to add some of those. Those came from an older Hip Kit Club kit, and I really needed some in this You Are My Sunshine collection, but I wanted like these doodly kind of looking ones, and the flowers that came in this collection are a little bit different, so I actually didn't order them. But I have a lot of flowers, so I figured I would be just fine, and I can mix collections and create a layout like this. I am going to pop some of these elements up. I love these cute little fish. I'm just going to add them right here. And then I have a Flair. This is one of the canvas flares, that little sun from Scrappin Happy Studio that I added on the left. I'll probably grab some thread and pop down underneath that. But I'm just working on these layers and tucking all these little flowers in here and there and seeing where I want everything to go, what colors I want to pull in, and just having a play with them. I might actually add some wordy bits to this as well, and some stitches. They have these beautiful stitch stickers that are clear, but the stitches themselves are colored. So the only part that shows up on your layout is the stitches themselves. And I am obsessed with them, and I just love them. I love cutting them apart and adding them to little bits and pieces on my layout. And then another thing I like to do is rough up the edges of my flowers. I like to just pull up on the edges just using my fingertips or fingernails and just give them a little pop for some dimension. So I'm just tucking those couple ones up there at the top. I'm going to add a little 3D foam square to that one. I'm just kind of going through and gluing everything down at this point because that's pretty much where I want everything to go, and I'm just adding little bits and pieces here and there. I love all these beautiful flowers. I've actually pulled flowers from older hip kits and combined with newer hip kits just because those were basically the only thing that I had left in the kit besides maybe one or two pieces of paper. So I just kind of combined some of my kits together that were light colors, and that seems to be working out really well for me, and I'm actually getting to use them now instead of them just sitting around collecting dust, which is a problem around here. I have so much stuff right now and I really need to clean out, but I'm to the point where I've purged and I'm pretty much down to things that I want to keep, but I still have a whole table full of items that don't have homes. So I really need to get down to business and organize some more or clean out some more somehow, or do something, because I am like drowning in supplies over here. And I know that that's a good problem. I'm not complaining at all. I'm very blessed to be on a lot of teams and have a lot of support, but I have so much product over here that I don't know what to do with it, and I can't scrapbook fast enough. So I'm just like kind of drowning. And I want to get moved into our farmhouse at some point where I'll have a new craft room. So I may have to purge a little bit more. It's a smaller room, so I'm a little bit worried about that. But I don't know, maybe I'll be able to organize it in a different way and it'll all work out just fine. So here's these stitches, those stickers that I was talking about. I'm going to use a couple of those, but I wanted to add a couple little stickers here and some little wordy phrases to the sides on top of the mixed media. And I'm just keeping to like 3 clusters, kind of the same as what I did with my colors. So here's some embellishments from another Hip Kit Club kits. Then I'm just pulling off some of these puffy stickers. And I love this little pineapple. I'm so glad that I get to use it on this layout. It just makes me so happy. And those stitches are going to come in a second. I'm going to cut some of them apart and just kind of use 3 or 4 of them at a time. And I like to put these over my little wordy bits or different embellishments or right along the edges of things, even like my photos, stuff like that. So super fun. This is a super easy mixed media layout. So if anyone wants to lift it, feel free to do so. Any of my layouts, you can always feel free to do so. I just ask that you mention my name for where you got your inspiration. That always is nice because it tags me and then I can see what you created. I love to see that I've actually been inspiring people to create things. That's my ultimate goal all the time, is just to inspire others to create something beautiful. I'm just going to add a few more little bits and pieces to this, and that's probably going to finish this one up. It's not super intense. It's not super crazy. I am just pulling out some thread here at this point to add to my Flair. This is one of my favorite things to do also. And my thread is nothing spectacular or fancy. This is actually some thread that I got from Amazon in a big kit. And I will try to link it below if I can find the link for it, because it's the best. I love it. I love that it comes on a small spool, so it's really, really easy to twirl around into those circles to get behind things for this and just to tuck in little places. It just twirls up nice, if that makes sense. So here is the finished layout. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so that you're notified of future videos that I post. And I thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all the sweet and lovely comments. I read them all and I always love seeing what everyone has to say. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.